Alright folks, this is the Ladybug, also known as the SH-6043. SH stands for San Liang Huan. That's the manufacturer, and I got this from myrcmart.com in Hong Kong for a very, very low price, $49. This is what this thing costs. It's very tiny, about 8.5 centimeters or so, motor to motor. It's a 8 and maybe a little bit more than 8.5 centimeters, closer to 9 centimeters, but it's not quite 9 centimeters. I'd say maybe 88 centimeters motor to motor. I've done two things to this thing now to help me fly it. One is simply the orange propellers usually are mounted to the front of this bug. See, that's the front here. And the black ones are at the back, but I'm not used to this. I'm used to having color at the back, so I just switch the propellers around. So this does not affect flying or anything. It's just a preference thing. And then I got a bunch of these small batteries that fit in here, so I put microdine plug on it. Usually will come with a plug that looks like this. This plug, I just cut it off and put a microdine on there. Again, that's just a personal preference. It doesn't affect the flight characteristics of it. Now, first thing you'll notice is it's got the nice little landing skids on there. It looks like legs. They're quite nice, actually. Let me put the camera down. You can see the motors are not touching the ground. And it's what's quite neat about them is that they're flexible. So you see. So this provides definite protection for the motors, because you don't want to bang these motors around too much if you land hard or whatnot. And so these landing skids there look like they're able to flex as much as you want, as much as you need to, while protecting the motors. And by the time the motors hit the ground, if you were to land that hard with it, because it's quite springy, then the landing skid won't break because they can flex that far down. So that's very nice feature on this quadcopter. The canopy is quite cute, of course. Got the little bug, quite detailed actually in the front there. It's even got the little antennas, and it doesn't mount to the frame with the side pieces here on where the arms goes. There's actually two pins sticking out from the main frame, two little plastic pins. And then there's the receiver end on the canopy, on the inside of the canopy, and it just clips on there. So it's quite nice, and it will definitely reduce vibration, noise or whatnot, because it's not mounted to the arms here. So that's actually a nice feature as well for this. What else can I say about this bug? I've flown it a couple times now. It's very stable, and it's very, very fast for the size anyways. Let me give you an idea of the size, put that in my hand here. This thing is tiny. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the transmitter. Transmitter is actually, I should say, just so you don't just I will talk to you a little bit about this, and then after that I'll show you some indoor flying in my garage area here to give you a flight demo. But first, let's talk about the transmitter. Transmitter is actually, I think, it's quite ergonomic. It's nice because at the back here, as you can see, got this nice big lip all along here, and it fits in the hand nicely. So it's a comfortable grip on this transmitter, and it's not very heavy either, so that's nice. The spring on a side click is not too stiff either, like other models I've tried in this price range. So this is actually quite nice. And everything's there. You got your aileron trims here, you got your yaw trim here, and then over here at the top you got your elevator trims. And what that is basically, sometimes you may need to trim it a little bit to achieve stable hover with it. And this is yaw. I'm saying this for beginners here, beginners reading this. This is your yaw, so if it was to drift all the way to the right like this slowly when you're trying to hover, all you need to do is trim left, and if it was to turn left, you would trim it right side a little bit. Over here is your aileron trims. That means if the quadcopter drifts to the right a little bit this way, right, then you can go left, and if it drifts left, then you can go right and trim it to achieve stable hover with it. And then over here is your elevator trims, and I've only flown this a couple times now. I can't remember which one is forward, which one is backward on this, but basically one of them will trim it to go a little bit more forward, one of them will trim it to go a little bit backward. I can't remember if it's left or right at the top here. I'll have to try that again and try to memorize that. And then a very neat feature here, let me turn this on, is dual rates, and this is something that's it's quite nice to have. Right here you got half, it says half and full, this button right here. And if you look at the LCD screen, you'll see that when I press this, you got half, full, half, full. Half was basically 50% control on the sticks, which will make this a lot more tame, go a little bit slower, which is good for indoor, and it's also excellent for beginners because in full rate it's a lot faster. And so it could get out of hand inside indoor or for beginners. And then there's this feature here, which is it's called tumbling action. When you push this button, right now the quad's not connected, so you don't hear it. There'll be a beeping sound, and then this means that you've got even more control of the sticks now, which means that the quadcopter will be able to do full acrobatics, doing like rolls, like basically go like this and flip all the way around, whoop, and come back, or do front flips and back flips, and it will keep you'll keep hearing an audible sound until you hit the button again, or until you lower the throttle back to 0, and then when you take off again, then you're back to whichever rate you chose, which is half rate or full rate. So this is quite nice actually. It's like an acro mode at the flick of a button. So you got normal mode. In normal mode you got 2 rates, high rates, which is called full rates, and low rates, which is called half rate. So half and full, or you could say low rate and high rate. And then on top of that you got the acro mode, which is at the flick of a button here. You get into acro mode, then you can do acrobatics with this little guy, which is quite nice, I think, that feature on the transmitter. Now, as far as what comes in the box, it comes with a charger, USB cable, spare propellers, a full set of spare propellers, one battery, which is 280 mAh battery, which so far I've tried it, is plenty to get good flight time and good performance with this. And then it comes with a small screwdriver as well, and of course it comes with the bug and the radio. The USB cable can be used to charge the batteries on a computer, and quite nice is that you can plug it in here as well. So you can charge your battery using a computer, or you can charge your batteries directly off the current that is in your transmitter with the batteries in the transmitter. Battery has 8. The transmitter runs 8 AA batteries, so there's definitely enough current in there to charge a few batteries and keep flying. So this is convenient if you're out in the field and you're away from a computer. It means you can still recharge your batteries, so that's kind of nice. Okay, so I think that's about all I have to say for this now. I think you're probably all waiting to see some flying with this. So I'm going to go ahead, put a battery in there, and bind it to the transmitter, and then show you some flying in my garage area here. So let me just reach out for the battery here. The battery right here. Right in there. When you connect the battery, there'll be a little green light flashing on the board, and it'll flash quickly until you turn on the transmitter. You hear the beep, hear the sound here, and then the light will then go solid green, and there you go, we're ready to go. So let me just get ready here, and I'm going to show you some flying in my garage area. Okay, let's take this out here. Let's have a quick look at this. I'm going to start with half rate, which would be 50%. I'm going to trim it a little bit to achieve stable lever, show you how it flies in half rate and low rate, and then I'm going to go into high rate and show you a little bit more aggressive flying, but nothing crazy. When you get a new model, basically that uses a different transmitter, you need to get the hang of it, and so I'm still at that level now. I'm still trying to get the hang of this, and it looks like got almost pretty much trimmed up here. Check it out. Wait a minute, it's drifting right, a little bit of trim. There you go. This is hands-free here. Give it a bit of throttle. All right, it's not a very good demonstration here. Let me trim it better a little bit. And there we are. Check it out. No hands. No hands. This thing is pretty much hovering in place here with no hands. So let me show you. I just showed you the stability. Actually, let me show it to you one more time here. This was maybe not very convincing. Here we go. Whoop. Gotta get the right amount of throttle so it stays in the air without climbing too much or going down too much. There you go. Hands free. No hands. You can see it's very, very stable. It's not moving around too much at all. Okay, so let's see some flying at half rate or low rate, what I prefer to call it. And it's quite zippy in half rate, frankly, at 50%. And this is, again, half rate. Which is good enough for flying inside, I think. I got a big indoor area here, but if you're flying in your living room or kitchen, bedroom, you don't need much more than this. This is plenty fast. Just at half rate. So that's half rate. Let's go full rate. Okay, now we're in full rate, 100%. Now we've got a lot more power. Now this is fast. The response is good. I'm still getting used to the transmitter here, but I like the yaw speed. It's not too fast, not too slow, and the throttle response is quite good. Hovers at about 50% on the throttle with a full battery, and the cyclic is also quite responsive. I'm used to a transmitter that's got a much softer cyclic stick, so this is taking a bit of getting used to for me. This is my third flight with it now. See, I just kind of went a little too far here. Yeah, the transmitter feels good in the hands. It's fast, and it's quite stable in that it's able to do aggressive moves without getting too much oscillation. Like it really takes the transition between throttle pumps and cyclic input quite well. It's actually quite impressive for $49. Or was it $49.99 this thing cost? It's just, yeah, it's a treat. It's actually, it's pretty cool to see these models coming out now that are, giving an opportunity to people to get into the hobby without having to spend $200, $300, $400 on a model that actually flies nicely. This is nice. This is aggressive and fast and responsive. There's nothing wrong with this. Check it out. See that? This is a little motor screaming. That thing is so tiny and cute. Now let's see how my trims did now that I've got a bit less current in the battery. Seems like the trim settings are holding quite well. Check it out. Let me give it a bit of throttle here. Check it out. Super stable. Whoop, almost hit the ceiling there. Get my hands off the transmitter to show it to you. Okay, so this is it. This is the Ladybug by San Juan Yan Productions from myrcmart.com. I hope you enjoyed the mini review of this. I mean, I like it enough. I thought I would put together a tiny little review about it. Let's see if we can do some precision flying. Oh no, actually I shouldn't do that. I got a fan running right in front of my workbench here. So this is not going to like it. Let me land this right here. Alright. Alright folks. This is it. Awesome little toy. I hope you enjoyed the video. Cheers.